About that town hall. Take me through it.
Well, it's interesting because they have translators for people who want to watch it in Spanish, people who want to watch it in English. You don't need a translator. You can just watch the body language in order to see how it was going. And you played some of the sound from that undecided voter, Ramiro. They interviewed him after, and they said, "You were undecided coming into this. Have you made up your mind?" And he said, "Well, I know I'm not voting for Donald Trump."
Oh, wow.
Yes. And so therein, you have a sense of how this all went. There's the 1/6 of it all, which, as you said, is incredibly disturbing. I also thought it was really interesting. You got 3 different questions on immigration. There was a really beautiful moment where someone said, "I am an agriculture worker. I've worked in this country most of my life. Tell me how your plan to deport immigrants is going to affect agriculture in this country." There was another question.
What did he say?
He did not have an answer. And that was sort of the incredible thing, which is no matter what the question was, he self-aggrandizes. He makes claim to victory he did not have. He then villainizes, demonizes immigrants, lies about their criminality, and offers no real solution forward. And in the process, reveals that he does not understand how any of this works, which is kind of amazing to choose an issue like immigration, make it the heartbeat of your campaign, and then over the course of an hour reveal that you don't understand the mechanics of it at all, which should be of comfort to people like me, if not for the fact that Stephen Miller does understand how it works. Yeah. And part of the plan here is for Donald Trump to come to power and then dole out these portfolios to ideologues who do understand how the government works and who could execute the plans that he has now sold.
Tim Miller, and then there's the Mitch McConnell of it all. I want to try to keep both these stories in front of us because together, I think they illustrate how far from acceptable Donald Trump is to the Republican coalition that once was, right? So you want to articulate in the final 19 days how extreme your opponent is and how centrist and bipartisan your coalition really is. These stories are devastating blows. I mean, to now openly with the cameras rolling, this wasn't a gotcha. Donald Trump wasn't caught on the bus yucking it up with somebody. Donald Trump was at a televised town hall and refers to the insurrectionists as we.
Yeah, it's the second time. At least. I'm sure he's done it other times, but he did it during the debate. He caught himself during the debate and changed to this group of people. So like, oh, maybe it's a slip. I mean, we know it's not a slip, but, maybe he has plausible deniability that it's a slip. But in that town hall, it's very clear. He refers to the rioters as we and then the they as the Capitol Police. And I'm glad that you tied these two stories together because it shows the nihilism of Mitch McConnell, that he is still on board with Donald Trump after all that he's called him, being morally responsible for that day, being a despicable human being, being stupid. And these aren't minor critiques, right? These go to the core of the man. And yet he's still for him because it's on the team, because he's on the team. That's what he said today in his statement. But I think that the big takeaway, though, is if you're a voter out there, if you're one of those Nikki Haley voters, or if you're watching and you have one of those Nikki Haley voters in your life, and they see themselves as like a Mitch McConnell, Nikki Haley Republican that believes that America has a strong role in the world and that maybe government should be a little bit smaller and that they have respect for character, like Donald Trump is telling those voters that they are the they, that they are not on his team, that the we is the people that are charging the Capitol, that if you are a person of conservative temperament that was on the side of the Capitol Police that day because you believe in the rule of law, because you believe in the Constitution, then he sees you as the enemy, as part of that enemy within that he talks about, right? Like that's how Donald Trump sees the world. And I think that if that can just break through, there's the event yesterday that you mentioned with Kamala Harris and Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and others. If that can break through to some of those voters, that you might think that you're part of the Republican team because you've been on part of the Republican team, but if you just listen to Donald Trump's own words, he doesn't consider you part of it. Like if you believe that the president should be defending the Capitol Police and the Capitol, he sees you as part of the enemy standing between him and a Donald Trump autocracy. And hopefully, God willing, with the help of Liz Cheney and the other, too small number of brave people who have spoken out, like that can get through to that core demo. That it's a small but decisive demo that is going to be very critical in a couple of weeks.
And can I just do one more thing? I mean, it's also not true that the insurrectionists, didn't have guns. I mean, here's the radio traffic. Can I just play this? This is what they had.
Yeah.
There's an individual who's in a tree. He's going to be a white male, about 6 feet tall, thin build, brown cowboy boots. He's got blue jeans and a blue jean jacket, and underneath the blue jean jacket, the complainants both saw a stock of an AR-15. He's going to be with a group of individuals, about five to eight other individuals. 2 of the individuals in that group at the base of the tree near the porta potties were wearing green fatigues, green olive drab style fatigues, about 5'8", 5'9", skinny white males, brown cowboy boots. They had Glock-style pistols in their waistband.
8736 with the message that subject weapon on his right hip. After that, he's in the tree.
Motor 1, make sure PPD knows they have an elevated threat in the tree south side of Constitution Avenue. Look for the Don't Tread on Me flag, American flag face mask, cowboy boots, weapon on the right side hip.
I got 3 men walking down the street in fatigue carrying AR-15. Copy at 14th and Independent.
So PPD, I believe, is Presidential Protective Detail. Make sure the people that Trump wanted to take him to the Capitol know about Glock-style pistols, an AR-15. He's going to be with a group of individuals. And we know that Trump knows. We know this message got to Trump because he wants them in anyway with their weapons. Quote, "They're not here to hurt me," Donald Trump on that day. So even in aligning himself with the he's lying about the weapons.
Yeah, he's always lying, right? Yeah, that is true. To me, like the most politically salient point is that Donald Trump still considers himself, even today, on the side of the insurrectionists against the Capitol Police defending the Capitol. But yeah, no, he's lying. They did have weapons. It was dangerous. Many of them are in jail. And that takes us to the other part of the story that, like, the J.D. Vances and the enablers of Donald Trump try to use to excuse themselves, is to say, well, you guys, at the Nicole Wallace show, you're obsessed with the past. You're obsessed with talking about something that is over, that happened in 2021. But that's not true. This is ongoing. Donald Trump wants to pardon the He wants to let them out of jail, the ones that had the guns, the ones that physically attacked the police. Donald Trump wants to free them, and he wants to jail the enemy within. This is his explicit platform. It is to free the insurrectionists and to jail his political foes and to target them. That's what he's running on right now. And so I just think that people that are still looking at this election, deciding whether or not they can get off the fence and support Kamala Harris, who are traditional Republicans, should think about that, right? They should think about the fact that Donald Trump's agenda is completely in line with freeing the people that attacked the Capitol and targeting those that opposed his effort.
And Basil, the reason they do, and they talk about being stuck in the past as a way to shame the press from covering January 6th. When they're on the programs, they don't come on this program, but I know from my own reporting that if they get a question about January 6th, the reason they badger the ref, badger the topic, is because it is a salient voter issue right now. People are voting right now in dozens of states, and it is top of mind. Because the vice president is about to go out, I'm not going to play the sound, but Sarah Longwell's focus groups have people saying in focus groups that Donald Trump didn't engage in a peaceful transfer of power, and that bothers them. That even people who supported him and didn't expect him to be normal or traditional have January 6th and the violence that he incited and encouraged and the death threats for his own vice president that he cheered. Top of mind as they cast a vote in this election.
You're absolutely right. And, when you look at the fact that Donald Trump and his surrogates, including J.D. Vance, can't really bring themselves to talk about what actually happened and the dangers that individuals face. They're doing it because they're trying to normalize that within the Republican Party. And there is evidence to suggest that outside of a riot or an insurrection, that Republicans are starting to normalize January 6th and think of it less as any of those violent uprisings and more of a way to actually affect change in government. And that's what's so scary, that this is being normalized within a very large swath of the population. So to Tim's point, you know, there is this notion that he would want to pardon everybody that was involved in it. I've always said, I'm not concerned about who he'll pardon, because I know he'll pardon those folks. I know I've always known that the we included him. What I've always been concerned about who he then criminalizes and seeks to lock up, because I fully expect if he gets another term, all of those folks that were out there on January 6th, the ones that aren't in jail, all of those folks that were out there on January 6th are going to be looking for people like us. And that has to shock everybody. So one of the things that I sort of noticed when you were playing the Mitch McConnell content is I'm glad that Kamala Harris has the money advantage she has, because I can imagine that commercial, that undecided voter saying, convince me to vote for you again, and Kamala Harris putting up all of Mitch McConnell's words about how terrible he is. So he, and come back and say, he is the opposite of what I mean about do something. All of the concerns that he had about Donald Trump, how many opportunities did Mitch McConnell have to stop all of this in its tracks? Maybe not all of it, but at least a good part of it to say, you know what, we need to move in another direction.